My name's Don, Brother Jeff. We're here to tell a tall tale of catching a fish.
A fish story that's this big.
So it started out, as you can see, this giant fish in the our parking lot over here. And what happened?
Well, I saw the ad and I mentioned to Don, it's like, hey, here's an ad for the fish sign. The gentleman who was renting the former Don the Beachcomber's amaret from the Himalayan Grill. And Don the Beachcomber's closed down in 2018. I had previously lived behind Don the Beachcomber from like 2013 onward. So I was very familiar with the place, and that gave us the whole tiki experience.
He was a local.
So when we approached Amaret, he was told that the city of Huntington Beach had told him to take the sign down, that it was, a hazard and could fall.
Well, first of all, we said we'll take it, not knowing anything else. It looked like maybe it was 12 feet long. You know, when it's that far up, you just don't get a good perspective.
So then we went over there on another day, and I measured the distance between the posts. Well, the posts were 10 feet apart, not 7 or 8 feet. So then I scaled that up, and it's like, oh, this sign is 30 feet long, 14 feet high. And, it's like, how do we even get this out of there?
Let alone where we're going to put it. And then it kind of got to be like, this was a quest. It was an absolute quest now. We could get it, so we're going to go for it. So we look up at this thing. Now we know 30 feet long, and we have maybe enough room in our parking lot to even put it there. Of course, we don't care. It's the least of our problems. We're just going to get this darn thing. So we start calling around. Oh, well, we need a crane. So we start getting numerous quotations on getting the sign down, and $15,000, $12,000, $10,000, $22,000. And of course we're looking at each other going, well, that's not in our wheelhouse here. So we kind of just asked everybody we knew. You know somebody that can help us out and save this sign? And so about a week after we started our fishing expedition to find a crane operator, I get a call, and I don't even know the person. It's probably good that I don't know the person. Calls us up and says, hey, I can be there on Saturday morning at 6 a.m. bring $3,500 cash. It's my boss's crane, but I'm not telling him anything, and I don't want to go get a permit or anything. We're just going to take it. I said, done deal.
And we wanted to do it early in the morning before the locals saw that their landmark was being removed. And I got to give credit to Amaret over at the Himalayan Grill. He wanted to see that stay local. He had gotten phone calls from as far away as Canada for the sign. It's important for him to find people that would appreciate the sign.
So that transpired into a Saturday early 6 a.m. Appearance there, and the cranes showed up, and then suddenly we're told, well, we need 2 cranes. It was rather hilarious because they needed a bucket crane to go up there and tie the harness onto the swordfish. Nobody knew that there was a beehive up there, so they weren't too happy when the straps started going around the swordfish, and of course the bees took off and went after the bucket.
As soon as they pulled the straps on, the back part of it just moved. It was
snapped right off.
It had rusted, so there was no attachment other than the weight of the post itself. And they then used like a sawzall and cut off the other half, and the fish was immediately free. And there it is, just hanging. And so now they got to use the crane to move it over, but it's right near the power lines too. So, there's not a whole lot of space, and the skill of the crane operator was well appreciated that day.
It looked like a fish swimming because it had to avoid the palm trees, then it had to avoid the power lines, and
the peaked roof on the entrance.
It was just strange. We were just waiting for people to pull over and start yelling at us. But what happened? People started pulling over, and they weren't yelling at us. Everybody was out with their cameras and their phones, and it was quite a sight to see everybody at 6 a.m. The neighbors were coming out from Surfside and Sunset, and to see what the heck was going on. And boy, war stories started telling, what happened there in the years when it was Sam's and Don's, and everybody had a story to tell us. And as we're quickly trying to get this thing down and get out of there.
So we get it down to the ground, and the company that's removing it for us immediately starts pulling off the Don sign, the letters from one side. Okay, and they go, okay, well, that's so we can put it up on the truck. And I'm thinking, okay, where's this big, is it a semi that they're going to put this on? No, it's a Toyota Tacoma with a lumber rack, and they set it down on the side without the letters on this Toyota Tacoma, and the thing is kind of listing. And the sign is 14 feet wide, okay, and it's right about 6:45 in the morning right now, and so we got to drive from Sunset Beach to our place here in Cypress, occupying a lane and a half on with an overloaded Toyota Tacoma. It was the most ridiculous thing. It's like, okay,
Yeah, so it was a 5 mile an hour hazard, blink, 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 driving down Seal Beach Boulevard. What a strange sight to see. But what happened was then we got it over here, and we had to bring the crane again, because obviously we had to get it off of the truck. So again, we had a flying fish coming across into our parking lot, and we're trying to measure where it's going to land at.
We basically set it down on the ground and leaned it over, and then about a year later I finished construction on a platform system with casters, so it can actually be rolled around to be worked on one side or another. We cleaned out the inside, which had a lot of bird poop, a lot of
Sand,
dead seagulls, a lot of nesting material, and just kind of looking at how the sign was. It still had all its original neon transformers, which were last used around 2001, when the Sam Seafood went out of business and the property was then rented by Kona. They then used an LED-based sign lighting system on it, which is what it currently has. But a lot of interesting things on it. There's a motorized fencing system inside it, where originally it would have lit up with all neon, and then Sam's would spell out one at a time, SAM''S, turn off, and then turn back on, and then the sequence starts again.
Our first visitor for this sign was only hours after we got it here, and it was one of the folks that had pulled over on Pacific Coast Highway to take pictures of it. Somehow was in a tiki group or something on Facebook, posted something about it,
that they were taking down the Don sign. And so this person in England saw the post and called this gentleman to inform him that the sign was coming down.
and the sign just happened to be that his father built it. And why as he was a kid, every time they drive by, his dad would go, "I built that sign. That's my sign." So he literally calls us up and says, "My dad built that sign. Can I come over and see it?" And this is an hour after we got it here, or 2 hours.
Yeah, he was informed by someone in England.
Yeah, so it started out with good karma, I think. We grew up in Huntington Beach. We moved to Huntington Beach in '63. And so we all went to elementary schools here and ran through the bean fields and wheat fields and all the other fun things. But one thing was always fun that we could see out our bedroom windows was the sign flashing.
Yeah,
over the years. So we, close to our heart there that somebody had to save it. And actually, I believe the city was going to red tag the property if it wasn't taken down. and this is one time I'll agree with the city code enforcement. It would have came down.
Yeah, it was literally,
went through the ceiling.
it was one good Santana wind away from being a Cessna plowing into the roof.
Exactly, and I think there was a weight meter on the crane itself. I think it was 1,350 pounds of metal and neon and fish. So bill first into the roof would be a terrible thing.
One of my first memories was just looking through binoculars, and it's like the first time I ever used binoculars was to look at the Sam sign from Bolsa Chica Road in McFadden, from where our house was, and I could see it all the time. We're trying to be good stewards of the sign, and part of the restoration process. Well, right now it's been kind of preserving it, cleaning it out, stabilizing it, and getting some rudimentary lighting on it. On the one side, we have the Don's sign. The LEDs have been replaced inside there, so it's all fresh LEDs. It still needs the peripheral rope lighting in. And what we want to do on the other side is recreate the Sam's letters. So one side would be how it's historically correct and started, and the other side will be how it finished.
So that we make all parties happy.
Another thing that we want to do with the sign, we want people to see it. Okay, we had one tour group come through here, Hidden Huntington Beach from Facebook. It was so interesting. It was about 80 people came to see the sign, and almost everyone had to touch it because it became real at that point. But one of the goals that I want to do is to have a trailer for it so we can actually take it around, and I would love to have it in the Huntington Beach 4th of July parade.
All the skin needs to be replaced. The sign, the way it is right now, is indicative of how the whole entire Don's building looks. It's virtually the rust. The sea salt has just destroyed everything. So that needs to get redone. Obviously, paint and neon on it. And I think we're going to have a pretty darn nice sign up.
So many people grew up with the sign. I just had a gentleman over here this week, and he said, in the 60s, I'd go sailing all the time. And I knew if I could see the one side, I'm going south. If I could see the other side, I'm going north. And it was his lighthouse. It was his beacon.
Yeah, I mean, that's how you got your way to Huntington Harbor in the evening. You just looked for the sign. There wasn't anything else. So, as a navigational point on the coast, that was it.
Yeah. And, it's not the, welcome to Las Vegas sign, but it's the closest thing we have around here for that. The first one that I've seen that actually had a swordfish shaped sign was probably in 1932 when that went up, and that sign I think lasted through 59 when the original place burned down. Atomic Neon in Long Beach made this sign, and in 1960, and I think it was put up either in late 60 or 1961. Well, part of the overall package is making this sign mobile. Okay, and so it's going to take a custom designed trailer, custom built, because it's going to need to actually lift up the sign for transport so there's enough clearance, and then lower it down, and also have the kind of stability that it has, that it needs for wind events and anything like that. So even when it's on display, that it's secure. So it needs some outriggers on it. So that alone can easily be $10,000 right there.
I think overall we're looking at an outlay between $40,000 and $50,000 to do it right, to make it work.
Yeah, not only
people can see it. Obviously, it's too big for anybody to keep in their garage, so we want to show it off to everybody.
Yeah, and it needs to be weatherproof. It needs to have a cover. needs to have all the, not only the lighting done and everything, but even just a power source, a little generator for it and stuff like that. So it's all self-contained.
Obviously, we would like to build a whole tiki scene around the fish because it still is alive, and it's an icon to anybody in the tiki world, and beyond that, we know all the good times that were at that place, whether it was Sam's or Don's, and obviously we would like to complete that picture and have it once again. If there was a permanent place, obviously it wouldn't be 4 stories up in the air, but it should be fun to have another Don someplace operating and having your favorite cocktails moving forward. But in the meantime, we're out to show it and restore it.